so even when it was snowing.
Oh, good.
I'd like to call to order tonight's meeting of the Traffic Safety Bikeways Committee meeting. I said that twice. Okay, I don't even know what to do.
Roll call.
We don't do roll call.
She does.
No, I think, are we following this?
Then we're doing election of chair and vice chair for following this.
Do we not do minutes?
I don't know.
Are we doing minutes?
Okay, Karen. Call for
There's
nominations.
no minutes on there tonight,
Okay,
it's
hold
just the election of the vice chair.
So we're not approving minutes, okay.
It's
These
not
mics
on
have
here.
gotten way better. Okay, so I call for nominations for chair of our committee.
I nominate
Who?
Tammy Salvador.
I second.
Good job. Okay.
All in favor?
No,
No?
call for more nominations.
Call for more nominations.
It's unanimous.
Yay.
Move
Yeah.
nominations are closed.
I make a motion to close nominations.
He seconded.
Oh,
Sorry,
Okay.
new guy.
Okay, we have one nomination. We've moved and seconded for closure. So now we should go to vote.
Vote. Call for the vote, Pam.
I call for a vote on the
All of them.
nomination.
All those for Tammy.
All those for me?
Yes.
aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
I can't vote, remember, but everybody's got to say something. just to remember the rules of the game. Everyone has to vote yes, no.
Oh.
I don't think they can abstain, right? So
Did everyone vote?
Now, move nominations for vice chair.
Okay, do I need to
Say
close that?
No?
No.
We're done.
what? Yep. Once the vote goes through, we should be good.
Yeah, sounds like the vote passed unanimously.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I open for nominations on vice chair.
Go ahead.
I nominate Brenda.
I nominate Michael de Blasi.
We currently have no seconds for either nominee.
I would second Michael de Blasi.
Second, Brenda.
We have to have a debate now.
Do you want it? No.
I move nominations be closed.
So now,
Now vote.
I move.
Oh,
so I second.
Somebody
Okay.
second.
I second that.
okay. Now vote.
Now we vote.
Yeah.
Okay, those in favor of Brenda as vice chair, say aye.
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 Those opposed?
No.
No.
Just go to the
Yeah,
next
yeah.
person.
No, I just, okay, sorry. Those in favor of Mike de Blasi?
Aye.
Aye.
I vote for myself, I guess, right?
Okay.
I saw 4 and I saw 2. So just to clarify, I love that I get to play moderator for this, even as we have an actual moderator here. But 4 votes for Mike, 2 votes for Brenda. So we're all good with nominations. We have a chair and a vice chair. We just ticked off an agenda item. Matt, David, welcome to the happy hour committee within the city of Keizer. It's not necessarily a time, it's a state of mind, but we make it happen all the same. Ms. Bissett, how are we doing?
Okay, now we pass the gavel.
Well, she's,
You're in charge.
no, she's chair, I'm vice chair.
Oh, that's right. Never mind.
I still have it.
So confused.
It's okay, we'll help you out.
Help me out. Yep.
Okay.
All right, so we're all set.
Okay, before we go to the next item on the agenda, which is the strategic plan feedback, I would like to just welcome our new members, and if you could, tell us a little bit about yourselves.
I'm David Philbrick. I've lived in Keizer now since '76, so getting close to 50 years, but not quite there. This last year, I was president of the Salem Bicycle Club, and I'm really very interested in traffic, pedestrian, bike safety, and do feel that it is, the roadways are probably the largest public infrastructure within the community. And I think whether they create a friendly environment within our neighborhoods. And by neighborhoods, I include some of the very busy streets that are residential, Verda, Wheatland, Lock Haven. Those really help define the livability of our community. Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Matt Myers. I have lived in Oregon for over 50 years, relatively new to Keizer, about 3 years here at Keizer. And I joined this committee to help and not complain about city government or city ordinances and things like that. But I think a little bit like David, that infrastructure is important, traffic and safety is important, especially for bicyclists and pedestrians. And I want to make Keizer better, so I hope that I can be of help to this committee and the city. So thank you.
Madam Chair, may I?
Yes.
If you gentlemen don't mind me extending the introductory phase, since I think this is a good thing to do given that we're back for the year here. So my name is Robert Hussman. I am on the Keizer City Council, position number 5. I am the council liaison for the Traffic Safety, Bikeways, and Pedestrians Committee. What that means is I do not necessarily vote. I am not a voting member, and my participation is limited to liaising, being a communicative and hopefully helpful resource from the council side to making sure that this committee is informed with respect to council matters, plus any further documentation. And I can occasionally assist in coordination with certain city personnel and the committee as well. To help out with that further, we usually have either the city recorder or the deputy city recorder present. For today, we have Ms. Bissett, our city recorder. Ms. Bissett, do you mind running with a quick introduction on just your role and everything?
Sure. So I've been the city recorder here for the city of Keizer for 6 months. Before that, I served as the city recorder in city of Canby and city of Fernie, Texas, and city of McMinnville, Oregon.
Go Grizzlies. And in addition to me and either Ms. Bissett or Ms. Wilson as deputy city recorder, we also have assigned representatives from the City Department of Public Works as well as the City Police Department. Currently, we don't have a police liaison physically here, and I don't actually know if Chief Copeland has appointed one yet for this committee, so that's something that I will be pressing him on with some support later. Mr. Griffin, you mind talking through some stuff from the public works side just to introduce the concept to our new committee members?
Sure. I'm Mike Griffin, City of Keizer Public Works. I'm the Streets and Stormwater Manager, Division Manager, and this is my 24th year with the City of Keizer. So great place to work. Enjoy it, and happy to be on the committee here. So thank you.
Mr. Griffin, we really appreciate you as an asset. I think I can speak for Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, and multiple others that we're grateful for your expertise. If you don't mind a quick rundown of some of the do's and don'ts of the position, since we ran into that a little bit over the past few months with the previous committee, just things that our new members should or should not consider with respect to what can and cannot be answered with Public Works.
Not quite sure where you're going there, but pretty much we answer all types of questions and we deal with them as we can. So.
Fair point. I appreciate that. Madam Chair, I appreciate you letting me hijack the meeting to this point. I hope that was informative for Mr. Myers and Mr. Philbrick, at least a little bit of a primer. We survived the ice storm, everybody. We're here. Thank you all for doing this. Again, this is a public meeting. We are on TV. Anything you say can and will be recorded for posterity. This meeting and documents that may come from this meeting are matters of public record. We do obviously have meeting notes that will be taken at the end. Madam Chair, am I missing anything?
Go ahead, Mike.
Just wanted to add, and this is something I didn't know when I first joined, but when you take notes from the meeting, those can be considered public record too, so
And to handle any public records, Ms. Bissett or Ms. Wilson would be your primary points of contact as the city recorder and deputy city recorder.
Okay. Moving on to our next agenda item is the strategic plan feedback from members, and our council liaison will be leading this discussion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Okay, so you have before you in your agenda packet, of which we have multiple copies, but let's distinguish that it's the one that says Keizer TSBP Committee Agenda, Thursday, January 18th at 6 p.m., that packet. There is an abridged copy of the strategic plan presentation. I believe this is what we received in council, correct, Ms. Bissett? Okay, perfect. We had a meeting with our city hired consultant on Keizer's strategic plan and the goals, processes, mission, vision, values, statements, and other information therein as far as what it is that we're defining for the city of Keizer going forward. The idea is that this is a guiding document to represent the city's priorities for, we'll say, the next 10 or so years. It is not necessarily a legally binding document, but it is important because it's one that we hold ourselves to from a priority standpoint, and from the priorities, then those dictates are followed by money. So when the city is receiving stuff from Marion County, state of Oregon, even the federal government, it is to those priorities that will guide that decision making. That and obviously where that money can be spent according to laws and governing rules. So one of the primary takeaways from that work session that council had is that communication of the strategic plan and the priorities therein was deemed insufficient, i.e. there was not enough or sufficiently broad feedback with respect to the priorities as to warrant a complete picture of what the strategic plan for the city of Keizer should be. Part of that means that we're turning this over to each of the respective committees that council members liaise for and ask for additional feedback on the document and any priorities pursuant to the respective committees. So as we are TSBP, we get to discuss more of the transportation priorities. You will note that we have been provided with 3 of the specific goal sections. I believe we had a total of 7 within the strategic plan document. Our 3 goals that you see in this abridged copy are related to transportation and mobility, economic development, and community growth. As I am leading the discussion here, I will frankly start from the beginning. Mission, vision, values. Feel free to take a moment and look over everything, and we can go through this copy in due course here, but I open it up to everyone's thoughts, and I turn it back over to Madam Chair.
Comment. A lot of this plan is based on population growth is a good thing. And for some reason, it's going to make us save money or at least not spend any more money than we currently are spending. I think that's a false premise. Population growth is expensive. And it's expensive not for the people moving in, but the people who are here now. Every year, the city of Keizer has increased their budget, even when the population didn't increase. And you could show that when you develop a big area, for example, the Park Meadow area, that costs the people that live over in South Keizer. It costs them money because they never are going to pay for what it costs to put in that development. In terms of infrastructure increases that we all participated in, paying for, but was only needed because of the growth. So the growth has a lot of hidden costs. You don't have enough, you gotta buy more police, you have to increase the size of the water mains, you gotta increase sewer. Not the new stuff they put in, because those people paid for it, but all the increases you have in the body that exists now that have to be done to pay for all of this growth that's gonna occur. That's one. So by limiting growth, you actually save money for the residents of Keizer. That's one. Two, I'm not sure, okay, let me go back a few years, not very far. We did a long-range planning for the city of Keizer. That committee almost unanimously said, do not increase the urban growth boundary. That was like, it wasn't quite unanimous. I think there was 1 out of 20 or something that said no. But basically it said no. The state was okay with that because we could absorb the growth that we were supposed to have because we're hemmed in by the county line, the freeway, Salem, and all farmland. And they said, well, you could probably take the growth that we expect you to do in Keizer, put it on top of Salem's, and they could absorb that development to the south, which is what they're doing. That seems to have been just tossed aside because some people, I understand why some people want growth, they make money from it, but I'm a little concerned about that, that whole thought that growth is a good thing and we're going to benefit from it. If we did, then we would not be increasing our taxes each year. That was all for that comment.
I appreciate you mentioning that, Mr. Dempster, and I will note for the record that the council has included urban growth boundary evolution as one of our long-term goals, which we've helpfully placed behind everyone on the far wall over there.
Hi, Matt Myers. I want to make sure I understand this engagement calendar. So the goal is by the end of the year to have a complete plan. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and currently we have no plan?
We have an outdated strategic plan
Okay,
at
and
this juncture.
does it talk about measurable objectives and who's held accountable? I mean, I'm sure as a traffic committee, we're somewhat accountable, or the city council members accountable? I mean, if it gets done or doesn't get done, that's my question.
We are always accountable, I should say that, but that is pertinent question, Mr. Myers, because I believe with respect to the specific and the measurable, there are a couple of the actions inherent to the goals that may warrant that a little more strongly. Specific numbers management, you don't find as much of it in the strategic plan, in part because the idea is that this strategic plan document is then taken to city staff, and the city staff then runs with it, and City Manager Brown and the other city executives will take those goals that we've stated through the strategic plan and they'll incorporate that into their work. And then some of that will then be translated into the numbers, the percentages, the ratios, the hard math essentially of what it is that the city is trying to get to. That's calculus too, because some of that obviously is dependent upon funding sources, other funding mechanisms, and frankly what the state of Oregon is going to do in the short session and in the next upcoming major legislative session. Some of which we know and some of which we frankly don't. So the strategic plan is meant to be more of a guiding talisman in that regard.
Right.
But I do appreciate the question because everyone likes hard numbers, and we do want to we not only want to set manageable goals to hold ourselves to that, but then we also want to have the framework to empower city staff members to make sure that they met those goals. Mr. Brown, now that you've sat down here, can I put you slightly on the spot? Is there anything we should add to that?
You're exactly on point. We'll have a scorecard or a dashboard for all of the metrics that eventually get, or all of the goals that eventually get approved by council. So we have a framework for that. It'll have who's in charge and how we measure success, and yep, good point.
Thank you. I just think, I've dealt with these before, and measuring things and sharing the successes and realizing they're adaptable and flexible too. If you build a 5-year plan, things change. I think we can all respect that, but it's good to celebrate some successes when we have them and we've achieved some stuff. So thank you. That's.
Mr. DeBlassi?
To tear onto that, I guess my point is, I hope that we have the right metrics that we are measuring. So, if you have a singular focus on something and you're only measuring for that singular focus, you may not be measuring all the effects or looking at all the downstream effects, I guess, of the decisions that are made. So I don't know how we'll be determining what it is exactly per thing we're measuring, but I hope there's a bigger conversation with that.
Some of my comments may be similar to some which have already been shared here. I didn't see very many goals or actions that related to livability or a small town feel. And certainly one of the stated goals was a healthy and attractive community to preserve the quality of life for all. And those actions which would relate to that tended to not be starred with a priority for the council. And certainly given past history, things like the Parks Plan or interconnectivity, the city has, unless they are a priority, we will continue to not make any headway on that. Speaking from somebody who years ago was on the Parks Board, but yeah.
Mr. Philbrick, I want to table your comments momentarily. I appreciate you expressing them because that is what we're here for. Does anyone on the committee have any further comments related to the how of the strategic plan, the how of the communication, the mission, vision, values, anything of that sort before we get to the goals?
Mike?
Well, and maybe the answer's in here and I just am not seeing it, but under the mission, we provide excellent city services to support quality of life, safety, and community for all. Well, I know I'm not the only one here who knows that we're in a perennial tight budget to provide city services. So I guess, I hope that from this, we're able to have that discussion of making our city fiscally sound and creating the revenue to pay for a quality of life and safety and community for all.
Do you want to move on to goals?
Well, I have one comment. And maybe I just didn't read over it and didn't pay attention to it. How long is this supposed to last?
The strategic planning
Yeah,
process?
we're just talking 3 or 4 years and then we might change it again? Well, I was curious, and your comment's correct. We do long-range planning, are we talking anything more than 5 years? Because if that's true, well, excuse me, back up a second. This is a political decision, not, and so if we have a whole new city council, this whole thing may be scrapped. I mean, I know that can happen, so. How long were you planning, or not you, whoever's doing this, how long is this going to last before we don't ignore like the things we did in the past?
With the assist from Mr. Brown, this is supposed to guide city staff and city council
Until-
for at least the next 5 years,
Okay, 5 years.
if not longer. Now,
5-year plan.
again, hold us to that, right? Because the council is your elected body of officials, and if you find that the strategic plan contains important or unimportant information and we're not holding to that, that's absolutely a discussion for the broader citizenry to have. So I want to keep that keep that out there. You may not necessarily be voting for the strategic plan ultimately, but you are voting for the council and other priorities down the road. You want to go to goals, Madam Chair?
Yeah, but we are low on time, so I don't know if there's a way we can expedite this discussion.
No way to it, but through it, I think. So we can start at least with goal 2 and move quickly from there, as I know we have at least one other agenda item.
Okay. What can you tell us about goal 2? Or should we just go right into questions?
Happy to go right into questions.
Okay, I have some questions.
Yes, ma'am.
On 2.1, for implement sidewalk gap and repair program, what do we already have in place for a program? Or is this new? New.
We don't have.
Do we have a baseline of what we're targeting? And then similar is what makes it different from 2.2?
Mr. Brown, may I defer?
I don't have it right in front of me, but what it might look like, and we haven't created the parameters around it, but we did stow away or pinpoint some of our ARPA funding for a sidewalk replacement program because it's something we've heard from a lot of people, a lot of council members want it. But it would look something like we'll do maybe a 50% match to somebody who wants to put the sidewalk in front of their place where it doesn't exist. And that match may change based on the priority of the street. You know, if it's a, Shamawa, I think there's still some parts in Shamawa without sidewalks. So maybe that's arterials are prioritized at a 60% match so it looks something like that though. But the idea is that we try to incentivize the homeowners or the property owners to invest in their own properties and fill in gaps for us.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to that. And so what is separate then between that and 2.2, which is to update I guess that's the plan.
Yeah, the transportation system plan is a much bigger, broader thing, but
I should have
they
read that
typically do focus on specific parts of the transportation system when you do an update. And those are funded oftentimes through the state. And so we'll probably continue to apply for grants for those transportation system plans.
Are we updating ours soon?
Yeah, ours is, I think it's around 8 years old, I think. So
Older than that.
2009, yeah, so it's out of date.
Mr. Sangster, do you have something?
We do need the transportation plan. It's so old. And it was not, we haven't met a lot of the goals and stuff on that. So, when are we gonna do it? I mean, this committee has been asking, and I know it's depending on state money, but we keep, I guess the big boys get the money first, but when are we gonna, do you have any idea, our line in the docket?
I want to say that we had some more promising news about that, that we were closer than farther away from it, getting funding for that, but I might have to search my notes and talk to Mr. Lawyer about it.
Because just looking out at Keizer right now with a lot of the new building, the traffic, et cetera, our old plan doesn't even come near it. And it doesn't incorporate a lot of the newer stuff like what's Transit's doing. So ours is almost to the point of being useless, the old one.
Okay.
I guess 2 questions, but the first one is, For the updated TSP, how much would that cost?
So I did one in the last city I was with, and it was around $200,000 for a city of about a quarter of the size.
And related to that, and you probably don't have an answer on this one, but for the things that we're looking at, whether it be in the current or new TSP or the sidewalk program, et cetera, does the city intend on using its own resources, or does it plan on relying primarily on grant funding, et cetera, for Thank you. Does the city plan on using grant funding for these things, or does it plan on using its own funds as the primary source for these?
We are looking for state funds to do it with.
And I just want to add that we are with the strategic plan, we're a little bit agnostic to funding sources for the purposes of setting the overall trajectory upon which we want the city staff to work ultimately. So as nice as it is to get specific, we won't get so specific with how we're going to raise all that money necessarily in this document.
Yes.
Yeah, regarding transportation, the goals you have in here don't say it, but it's usually just everybody understands. We talk about transportation, we're talking about how fast you can go. Not necessarily, well, seriously, everything seems to hinge on how fast you can get from Park Meadow to the state capitol. And so therefore we made, the speed limits and the width of the road and the lack of things are to let people drive fast, quickly, or get themselves from point A to point B, whatever quick means. It's always at least as fast as we're going now. And we're concerned about traffic, not because it's unsafe, it's because it's slow. And when we talk about, for example, the Wheatland River Road intersection, what's wrong with it? We have to wait. What's wrong with Chemawa and River Road? Well, we have to wait. People are taking side streets to get faster. None of that's in here. We say we're going to get people from point A to point B. We don't have to get them there in 20 minutes or 15 or 5 or whatever. We can get them there in 30 minutes. Now, don't get me wrong. I like getting places quickly, but if we're talking about, are we designing it? Then well, let's come out and say it. We're going to design to get people through Keizer as fast as we can. So maybe we need to, I'm being facetious, but let's up the speed limit on Cherry to 40, because that'll get me from my bank to Toyota a lot quicker. Now, if that's what we mean by traffic safety and traffic transportation, then let's come out and say it, that speed is a major goal we have within Keizer. And the fact that it's not in here kind of bothers me that we're hiding it. It's a hidden goal, so let's talk about it.
I find no fault with your characterization, Mr. Dempster.
Okay. Well, I think it, like you should say, and quickly. Which is a question about whether or not we want bike lanes and pedestrians in the way of the cars.
We want them there safely.
Mr. Philbrook, do you have something to add?
Well, I was maybe picking up some of the same thing. To me, there's been changes in Keizer on examples are the roundabout on Verda, the apartments there. Those changes have ramifications for the safety and the comfort on the street. Wheatland, too. I remember Wheatland when it was a 9-hole golf course and fairly rural, and it's now much more residential with people walking dogs and different things. And one of the things that troubles me a bit about the strategic plan is that there are things Keizer can do that are not contingent upon state funding. And a good example is looking at the speed limit on the section from Chemawa to Dearborn, which at this point is I believe, too high. And I believe the speed limit on Wheatland is too high. When there are people, kids walking home from school, walking dogs, jogging, and different things on Wheatland, as a cyclist riding north on Verda, I believe and I don't know, I shouldn't say this till I know, but I believe the bike lanes on the east side anyway are not up to standard. They're narrow, and when you have a bus going 35 miles an hour and you're in the bike lane, you're in the middle of the bike lane there, the mirror of the bus practically hits you. I know that from experience. And then you get to the roundabout, and as a cyclist, you need to move into the lane. Right behind that bus was a large pickup truck that was going 35 and decided that was surprised to see a cyclist move over to take the roundabout. The speeds just under the current conditions are not safe. And so to me, one of the, and it's changes in the community, the road that has happened with development and things. And to me, a goal that is totally within the purview of Keizer is to review those situations and have something that works for the people that live on that street and are passing through the street safely. And particularly on some of those that, involve a lot of children and things going to schools and different things. Anyway, I think that there's some opportunity there. And for fixes that don't cost a lot of money. I mean, they're changing a sign and at the minimum. Anyway, I just personally would like to see a goal that was something related to that.
Thank you for that feedback, Mr. Philbrick. Really appreciate that. Madam Chair's suggestion, our time is not quite our own. I am very much enjoying and appreciative of the discussion of the strategic plan here, but we are essentially over time and we have a broader meeting to attend to. So, my recommendation as liaison is let's table this strategic plan discussion to February, probably put a motion on for that as well. And then as we have another meeting to get to, we will have to move to adjourn as well, per the rules of this meeting. Ms. Bissett, did I get that all? Okay.
So I move to table this discussion till our February meeting. Are we past the deadline on that then?
We should be okay, right?
Yeah, we've had a couple other committees that wanted to continue their discussion into February, so it's okay.
Then I move to table this till February.
No, you just do it. You don't need to move.
Oh.
You're boss.
Oh,
You're the
okay.
boss.
Then we're moving it to February. And I move to adjourn. Oh, I have to whack.
You whack.
I can do that.
There we go.
Are we all clear this visit?
I'm late.
Okay,
I was worried about
come on up, everybody. We made
Because of
it.
the school being closed.
No worries. I wanted
We
chat
don't
with
have to
you.
move,
I was
but
at the-
others do have to move.